efficient, effective. There's a bunch of words that you can use. There are tons of words that you can use to describe yourself. So I would say try to find words that serve the needs of a manager. I am committed. I'm loyal. I'm focused. It can be a bunch of different things. The question is, why would they even ask that? Another way that they ask the question is to tell me about yourself. That's essentially what that. I have done many of videos asking that, answering that particular question. Why hiring managers ask it. Today we're going to be talking about your resume. So let's talk about this real quick. If you are applying to jobs and no one is responding to you, you are not getting any responses back, or rejections from your interviews, meaning they're saying we decided that your skill is not what we need, we're going to move on to somebody else. If you constantly get you've been applying, but no one else is responding to you, there's a reason why. And I'm going to tell you how things work on our end. So when we look at resumes and talent acquisition and human resources, there are only four things. There are four things that we look for. Okay. I call it the who, what, when, and where. That's it. That's whenever I'm training a recruiter, this is what we're looking for. So when I talk to a hiring manager, I want to know who, what, when, where, who, what, when, and where, right? And then I translate that over to what I'm trying to get from you as a candidate. Your resume must tell us who you are, right? What you are an expert at, when you did this work that you're expert at, and where you did this work as an expert. Those are the four primary things that every resume must speak to on the first page. Who you are. What are you an expert at? Now you'll notice I didn't say what your job title was, what you did, like what are you an expert at? And how do I define expertise? You can do this job with your eyes closed and your hands tied behind your back. It needs to be quantifiable. What has to be, okay? Who you are, what you are an expert at. When did you do this expertise work and where did you do it at? Okay. If your resume does not clearly state those things in the very beginning of your resume, you will get a rejection letter. Well, Dan, shouldn't the recruiter look further into my resume to look at my skill? Yes, but they're not going to do it. And the reason why they don't do it is because out of every 100 resumes that a recruiter gets is an exact match for the position you're hiring. Two, only two. 98 may be partially or not qualified at all. So that's why a lot of companies use AI tools to do keyword searches on your resume and then gives your resume a grade in the system that the recruiter can go back and take a look at. If you do not clearly show your expertise on your resume, if it's not clearly stated, that will get you rejected because they're looking to have somebody solve a problem. And your expertise is designed to solve that problem. If it's not clearly stated on your resume, they don't think you can solve the problem. Okay. That is very, very important for you to understand. I look at resumes every single day, and that's what I look for. Hold on. Excuse me. So, expertise. What is the thing you can do professional wise that you are so good at that you can do it with your hands tied behind your back and your eyes closed? That is what we want. Now, beyond the what, where did you do it? Was the company that you are working for now, the company that you came from, is that company kind of like our company or the company that you're interviewing for? Same industry, same whatever, same type of department, same setup. Is it the same? Right? And finally, how long did you do it? Like, did you only do it for a month or did you do it for 10 years? Right? That's what they're looking for as well. So I'm telling you that the reason why I designed the winning resume template the way that I designed it, because I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that these are the most important components that drive a hiring manager and recruiter to select you. It's what I train. It's what I if if someone on my team, if a recruiter on my team comes to me and asks me about a candidate's qualification, I'm going to ask them what are they an expert at? And that recruiter who is asking for my opinion should be able to tell me that. What are they an expert at? Okay. Where did they work? How long were they there? Okay. Now there is a why, but the why doesn't come until you actually get interviewed. And that could be why are you looking to leave your job? Why are you looking to join another team? Those things are going to come as well. But we're talking about if you want to get your email or phone blown up by recruiters and hiring managers, your resume must answer the who, what, when, and where. Period. If that is not on the first page, you're going to get rejected. I'm telling you. Danny 2 asks, good morning. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Question. How do I make my resume stand out? I've been having a hard time finding a job. Okay. So Danny, shameless plug. If you click the link in my profile, there is a template called the winning resume template. It's $21.99 and it tells you exactly how to make your resume perfect. Okay. It is perfect for any applicant tracking system in the world. It is perfect with respect to keywords for every AI tool in the world. Any recruiter or hiring manager who sees it will immediately know how good you are at whatever it is you do. I don't care if it's accounting, in the medical field, human resources, customer service, sales, but you could be a welder, skilled trade, HVAC person. It doesn't matter. Every resume should be positioned this way because, to your point, if it isn't, it won't stand out. Now, what does stand out to me? I'm sitting in front of my computer all day, every day, looking at resumes, and I am being judged by or held accountable to getting hiring managers qualified candidates. What what standard am I using to select qualified candidates to submit to them that won't get rejected? It's this: who this person is, what this person is an expert at, when did this person do the work, and where did they do it? If I can answer those four questions that satisfy the desires of a hiring manager, you will get an interview. And that is 95% of the battle. The other 5% is the in-person interview. Okay. But most people have a broken resume, which is why you are not getting responses back. If you need help, send me a DM. I'll send you the link to get the template. Okay. Warriors stand out. Please repeat those 5 things. I'll repeat it again. I just did. But there are 4 things, 4 primary things that every recruiter and hiring manager look for when they look at a resume. And if your resume within the first 3/4 of the first page does not list these 4 things, you will get a rejection letter. I'm telling you, I know this. This is what I do every day. If I don't see it, I'm sending you a message to let you know that I'm looking at somebody else. You're not qualified for this job. So, who are you? In other words, your resume can't have a blank name. Who are you? What are you an expert? Well, how do I define expertise? You can do it with your eyes closed and your hands tied behind your back. Where did you do this work? Okay. Mhm. And when did you do this work? Like, I want to know, how long did you do it? Like, when did you do? Was it 20 years ago? Was it 2 years ago? Was it last month? Did you do it for only 2 months, a month, 2 years, 10 years? That's what every resume. So if I were to do what we could consider an elevator pitch as a talent acquisition manager, it would look something like this. I am Daniel Smiley, and I have over 3 decades of talent acquisition management experience. And I've done that for almost every imaginable industry in the entire United States. And I've done that for 35 years. Right. So that's essentially that is essentially that is essentially what they are looking for. Okay. Hold on one second. So those 4 things are important. All right. I had to send a quick message. So if your resume does not clearly show those 4 things, you're going to have problems. You will not get a response back. And if you don't get a response back, you're not going to get a chance to do an interview. And if you don't get a chance to do an interview, you can't get the job. So everything starts with you having your resume positioned properly. Okay. Dart says, all the best, coach. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay. You have to make sure your resume has those 4 things and they stand out. And these are some of your questions, and I want to make sure that I'm answering those questions for you. So I got a question. If you have a question, leave it in the comment section. Many of you are doing that right now. I'll read your questions live, but I have questions as well. So this is the question from Instagram. How do you put yourself at ease when the panel interview is more than 3 people and you are nervous? Okay, let's work this backwards. Okay, first of all, why are you nervous? Okay, well, I know why. People get people get anxiety. Okay, so and that anxiety comes from you not knowing, what questions are going to be asked, what answers they want you to give. That's why I give you these answers on Instagram every day, and Facebook and TikTok and YouTube. I give you the answers every day so you don't have to be nervous. You know the answer, right? It's like me giving you the answers to a test. You don't have to worry about passing the test because you already know the answers. So there's a couple of resources that I've created that you can go grab right now. 2, I would advise. 1, top 50 questions that every hiring manager in the entire world will ask you. That's a guide in my store, like $6. The second one is how to overcome the fear of job interviews. Okay. I talk about what those fears are and how to overcome them because I see it every day when I interview candidates. My job is as a talent acquisition manager is to put them at ease and to let them know it ain't that serious. You're sitting in front of me because I've seen your experience, education, background, and skill. And if I like you, I just want to make sure you're a good fit for our company. You don't have to be nervous about this. Don't do that. And then I try to calm their fears and give them all of the information that they need about what to expect when they go interview the hiring manager. So you don't have to be nervous. So I put that in a guide so you can take a look at it, read it, digest it, so you can have the confidence necessary to go into an interview and not be nervous. There are some other guides there that help to prepare you. If you knew every question and you knew the answer to every question and you knew everything about the company, their website, everything about their product, their service, if you knew all of the answers, you would never be nervous. So I give you, there's another guy I have called What You Should Know Before You Go. It's everything that we want you to know before you walk into that building to do an interview. Okay. So that's there too. If you need help, just click the link in my profile and grab it. J Sport. J Spot says, I'm landing the interview, but I'm not getting the job. Any advice? Yes. So, Jay, let me explain to you what's happening. You're getting to the interview and you're getting in the interview, and what the hiring manager is realizing is they don't like you. Okay. Now, what is the most common reason why they don't like you? It's because you might talk too much. You are giving away too much information. You're saying too much that makes them start to question whether you will be a good fit for their team. That's why I have you give short, clear, concise answers. The more information you share with a hiring manager, the worse it is. That gives them the opportunity to nitpick everything you say and compare it to every situation they've ever had in their life, work related or not. If you say something that reminds them of an ex that broke up with them 25 years ago, that could get you not hired. I'm just telling you the truth because many hiring managers do not think about it from an analytical perspective. They have to, you're coming to work for them when the truth is, as a manager, their job is to work for you. And the manager should be thinking, is this a person I would be willing to serve as a manager? That's how most managers think, but they don't think that way. Most managers think, is this a person who is going to help me succeed in my job? The truth is, their success in their job, my success as a manager in my job is dependent on the success of my team. And the success of my team is dependent on my ability to provide them with the tools, time, and training to get the job done. The better I'm able to do that, the better a manager is able to give you the tools, time, and training to do your job, the better it is for you and the better it is for them. But 99% of managers don't think that way, which is why you have so many problems in an interview. They are thinking, how can this person help me do my job better? Instead of them saying, how can I help this person to be the best they can be? And that will help me do my job better. So the biggest issue that people have is we talk too much in an interview, give too much information. I'm telling you, I have had that same issue. I am such an expert in my field that I can overshare, which will cause hiring managers to be intimidated, think I know too much. They don't think they're going to be able to keep me. It's just too much information. That's the most common reason why people do not hire you if you are getting interviews, but they're not giving an offer. Should I assume that all jobs drug test nowadays? Yes, you should. Not all companies drug test, but you should assume that all companies drug test. I'm not going to even ask you why you asking me that question. But yes, assume that all companies drug test. They give you. In fact, I just had I just had someone lose a job because they were unable to complete a urinalysis and a rejection letter and asking me to interpret it. And I told them, move on because they're not giving you this job. So you should assume that all companies will do a drug test. Thank you for that question. If you have a question, leave it in the comment section. I will be happy to answer that question for you. QT Kayla says, do you think marijuana would stop you from unemployment or only serious drugs? Are you talking about from making an unemployment claim? Or do I think marijuana would stop you from being unemployed? Okay. So I'm going to answer both of those questions, even though you asked this one. If you are doing any kind of drugs and the company does a drug test, they will make a determination based on the results about whether or not hiring you is in line with their company policy and standards. So if they don't want people who smoke marijuana, you won't get that job. No matter what the law is, you won't get it. Okay. And that's how they look at it. If you're talking about an unemployment claim, and let's say you were terminated because of marijuana or serious drugs, your unemployment claim will probably be denied because you were terminated. For, okay, so I hope you answered your question. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section. I will be happy to answer it. J Sport says, "Wow, thank you. I appreciate that feedback. I will practice my interviewing skills and try to not overshare my experience." That's on my social media platform. I am telling you how to answer these questions. Don't overshare. Please don't. Okay. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section. Chocolate Drop, can you hear me now? She says, I don't know why I can't hear you, but um, my wife was trying to call during this live, and so you do not be able. But tap the screen on Instagram and on TikTok if you can hear me. Tap the screen so that I can see that. Okay, so good. You got it. All right. Deb says, how do you answer? Tell me about a time you missed the deadline on a project, but I never had to complete a project on my previous job. Okay, so let's work this backwards. We all have deadlines on our job, right? We got projects or reports that are due at a certain time for certain reasons, right? I have KPI reports that are due at the end of each month for the purpose of the executive team to look at it to see how well we're doing from a talent acquisition perspective because I manage that entire department. So we all have deadlines. And do we miss deadlines? Yes. Okay. So you can reference a deadline that you've missed, whether it's a project or some sort of deadline with respect to a report. And you want to say these things. This is all you want to say. Okay. Don't say anything beyond what I'm going to tell you. You want to say, I missed this deadline for this particular project or report. I acknowledge my shortcoming with respect to missing this deadline on for this project or report. I have learned my lesson and the reason why I missed the deadline, and I will never do that again. That's how you answer that question. Don't say anything else. Okay? You want to make sure that you acknowledge that it was an issue, you learn from it, and you want to communicate to them that you will never do it again. That satisfies that question. Okay? If you have any, I hope that helps you. If you have any questions, leave in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer. AWU said, oversharing, that's happened to me. The hiring manager told me they rejected me because I was overconfident and overshared. Yes. You oversharing may remind them of something in their past. And they will reject you because that brought something to their mind. It happens all the time. 99% of candidates will never ever be rejected because of their skill, experience, education, and background. That is not why they are not hiring you. That is not why you are not getting the job. You are not getting the job because they don't believe from a personality or personal perspective you're not compatible. That's why they're rejecting you. You are not compatible. And so when you overshare, you give them more information than they need to determine that you are not compatible. Okay? That's something that's very important for you to understand. All right? If you have a question, leave it in the comment section. If you have a question, leave it in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer it. And I hope that helped you. Okay? QT Kayla says, I always struggle when they say to tell me about yourself. Like I always don't know what I should mention or not mention. Okay. So when they ask you to tell me about yourself, what are they really asking you? Right? Let's reframe that question. So the way to reframe the question would be this. Hey, QT, if we hired you, what kind of person and personality would I be getting? Like, like what kind of person or personality are you? How would that help? Right. So you would say something like, "Well, I'm a hardworking, loyal, committed person, and I'm interested in helping you meet your goals as a manager." That's what they're really, really interested in. That's the thing that they. So be straightforward and simple. Learn how to reframe these questions, and that's why I give you these short answers so you can make sure that you're answering these questions very clearly, being very concise, being short, not oversharing. All right. So another question from Instagram: during a team interview, what is the biggest thing the panel is looking out for? All right. I don't want you guys to be afraid of panel interviews. I want you to think about panel interviews like it is a single interview with one person, because the panel only has so much time. So each panel member may ask you two, no more than three questions, depending on how large the panel is. But let me tell you why they do panel interviews. They do panel interviews because whoever the hiring manager is, that manager's manager doesn't trust them to make the hiring decision. Manager's manager does not trust them to make the hiring decision. And if if that manager's manager is in the room, that manager's manager doesn't don't trust them either. Now, if there is trust among the entire team, then they prefer to get a group opinion because you may have to work closely with everybody that's in the room on the panel. Okay, that's important for you to understand. So there's a lot of people in the room, and you're probably going to have straight line or dot line report responsibility to many of those people. So it could be a VP of operations, operations manager, and your line manager. All three of those people might be in the room, and the VP of operations, the operations manager doesn't want that hiring manager to make the decision by themselves. So they'll be in the room because they're responsible for working with you, so on and so forth. And that's the reason why they do it. QTK says, thank you. I'm currently enrolled in real estate school and I have an interview with Keller Williams soon. So I'm trying to prepare myself as best I can. If you need help outside of these lives, send me a DM. I'll help you get prepared as well because I do one-on-ones. I'll help you smash that interview with Keller Williams because I will tell you question they're going to ask you in that interview, and I'll give you every answer. Okay. AWU says, last week I attended one interview and was asked as a team leader, how would you motivate a team on a project? What could be the best response? Okay. So I've done a video on this as well. And the best way to motivate a team is to one, set very clear expectations about what is going to be done. Okay, this is where we are. This is where we're trying to get to. This is where we want to get there. Okay, and I'm expecting everybody to pull their weight. Okay, set very clear expectations. Number two, keep an open line of communication between you and your team to make sure any issues that may arise that you can speak to those issues and resolve those issues immediately. Number three, you want to make sure that there is mutual accountability between you and them and their team. Okay. And number four, you want to provide all of the proper tools, time, and training for them to get their job done. Okay. So as a leader, that's how you keep them motivated. Well, what's motive? What does the word motivate means? It means a motive, a reason to. We want to give our teams a reason to come to work every single day to move this project forward until completion. Okay. That's how you motivate a team. They have to have a reason, a motive, a underlying reason for wanting to do their job. And when a person is unmotivated, they are void of a underlying meaningful meaning to get done what they need to get done. Okay. So you want to keep them focused on the reason why we're doing this work. It could be to build a house or to complete a project or to do a report or to create a presentation, whatever that reason is, you want to keep them motivated behind that particular reason. I hope that answers your question. If you have a question, leave it in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer. Water Drop 37 says, how do you deal with a manager who is after you due to personal feelings? For example, not allowing you to work overtime, even though she made an announcement company wide that it was available. Okay, so let me give you a little HR trick, a behind the scenes HR trick. When a manager does not like you, right, for personal reasons, and we keep the personal out of business, but unfortunately it happens. They will make your job harder so you can want to quit. Okay, that's what they will do, and that's what's happening here. So if you want this job, if you want to outlast this manager, what you need to do is learn how to put it behind you and don't respond to those kind of things. Just don't respond. Go to work, do your job, meet the expectations. Let that manager do what they got to do. Show respect and keep it moving. Now, if this persists and you feel like you're being targeted in some way, shape, form, or fashion, then you want to bring that to human resources. You can make a confidential complaint to human resources about how you're being treated in the workplace. Okay. And if nothing happens after that, I would advise you to get all you can from that organization, but start looking for another team. I hope that answers your question. All right. Uh, Danny 2 says, what are some questions to ask a hiring manager? All right. I advise asking only one question to a hiring manager, and I'll tell you what that question is, and I'll explain to you why. Okay. One question, not 10, not 20. You should not be asking, what does your company do? What's the vision? What's the mission? What's the core values? Tell me about yourself as a manager. None of those questions you should ever ask because they don't matter. Okay. There's only one question that matters. Everything else you can learn once you get hired. So, how do you get to a point where you only have one question? Because really, there should be only one question that you don't have the answer to. Okay. There's a guide I have called What You Should Know Before You Go. These are all of the things that you need to know before you walk into any interview. You'll know about the company, what they do, how long they've been in business, their core values, all of those things. You'll know that, their mission, their vision. You will understand everything about that company when you walk in the door. If you use that same tool to research pay, you'll know what the pay is for the market, and where you stand, and all that good stuff. So at the end of an interview, the hiring manager says, okay, well, thank you so much, Danny. Do you have any questions for me? The only question you should ask, and you should respond like this: yes, I do have one question. And it's this: when would you like for me to get started? That's the only question you should ask. Now, why do you want to ask that question? Because it's the only question you don't know an answer to. And it does a couple of things. Number one, it shows the hiring manager that you're interested in the job if they want to offer it to you. Because that hiring manager knows at the end of your interview if you are a person they want to offer the job. They know it already. They don't have to take time to think about it or sleep on it or eat some pasta over it. They don't have to do that. They know. So you're letting them know, I'm interested in this job. When would you like for me to get started? Everything that I've heard today, I like it. I'm interested in this job. When would you like for me to get started? Okay. Now, what's going to happen is because that hiring manager does not expect that response, they are going to sit back in their seat for a while, and it is going to make them have to reveal their hand. So, what would that look like? They will either say, well, the next new hire orientation is in a week. Are you able to start in a week if we can get you through the process? That may be a response. They may say, I have a couple of other interviews to get through for these particular positions. But would it be okay if I had someone from HR give you a call back by tomorrow? Right? That's another response. Another response could be, well, I really, really like you as a candidate. Do you have any other companies that you're interviewing with? And they're trying to tell you that they really, really want to see how fast they have to move to get you in the door. Okay. So, or they can say, well, I have a bunch of other candidates to interview, and we're going to be making a decision in about a month. That tells you right there they're not interested in you at all, and you can keep it moving and try to find you another team to join. So you want to ask that question because you want to put the ball in their court and make them reveal their hand. When would you like me to start? That's the only question you should ask. I hope that helps you. If you have a question, leave it in the comment section. Union jobs versus non-union jobs. Which one would you choose and why? I personally like the freedom and flexibility of non-union jobs. A union job is a lot like a government job, but there's a lot of security. Okay, let me just say it this way. So there's a lot of security in government jobs and union jobs, right? You got this contract between the union and the company, and it's hard for a company to get rid of you if you're part of an organized union or even if you're in the government. Okay, but there are some restrictions as well. Okay, so well, I'm sorry about that. There are some restrictions as well. So you may not get get as much flexibility and freedom in union and government jobs as you do in a job that's not non-union or government, where you have a lot more freedom and flexibility in jobs that are non-union. Also, with union and government jobs, negotiating pay is a lot more difficult. Okay, so I like to be able to maximize my earnings to take care of my family. And jobs, while they provide security, they provide, and government jobs may provide security, they provide less flexibility on the earning side. So you have to figure out what's most important to you: the ability to maximize your earnings, grow your income, or is job security and longevity in that job security important to you? Those are my reasons why. Okay. AW says for a successful interview, how long does it take for a hiring manager to provide you with feedback? So my feedback loop, the way I advise it is very simple. If you've done an interview with a hiring manager and you have not heard anything back from that hiring manager, or you haven't heard anything back from that recruiter in 3 days, you want to email them. Hey, just want to follow up. If after 24 hours from that email you have not heard anything back, you want to call. Hey, I just want to follow up. If you leave a voicemail and nobody calls you back in 24 hours after that, and you're really interested in the job, and the job is local, get in your car and go up there and ask for feedback. Ask for the recruiter or the hiring manager to try to get some feedback. Okay? That's what I recommend. And I do not recommend doing that more than twice through. Okay? Because it does not take a hiring manager that long. This is the process that I have hiring managers follow. Within 30 minutes following an interview, I want to get feedback from the hiring manager. So I do a Teams call or get some sort of an email from the hiring manager about how they felt about that candidate. That's 30 minutes following the interview, no more than by the end of the day. I want to get some sort of feedback. Now, why do I do that? Because I tell hiring managers, I know you all that. I know you think you cool, but no one is gonna wait on you. They're not. They have other companies that they're interviewing with, and you best believe if this candidate is supremely qualified, they're going to have multiple companies trying to hire them. So make a decision so we can either move on from this candidate or get somebody else who is going to get in this interview with you as well. QT says there's something on your nose, so I thought it was, and I got it all taken care of. So I appreciate it. This is what works when you have allergies and it's a live video. All right, Water. So you have something on your face, Coach. I have a nose on my face. I'm just joking. Thank you guys for that. I appreciate it. All right. If you have a question, please. Thank you guys so much for bringing that to my attention. Many of you said that I had that tissue. Okay. All right. Grandest grand. Thank you. You got that shows me that you guys really care about me, right? If somebody has something on their face and you don't say anything about it and you just let it stay there, that means you really either too embarrassed to say something you care about. Thank you so much. All right, Grandest Grand says, what if their answer to you when you would like to start is, I need to check with HR and get back to you. They're not interested. The hiring manager does not have to check with HR to see if they want to hire you. If the hiring manager is the decision maker. Watch this. Human resources is not the deciding factor for line employees. When a hiring manager is trying to hire somebody, human resources follows the lead of the hiring manager. We will hire who you want us to hire, but they can, get through the background check and drug test and all of those things and be compliant. We will hire. It doesn't matter if I like them or not. I can hate that person's gut and think they're a horrible candidate, but if the hiring manager wants to hire them, we hire you. Okay. So if a hiring manager is saying to you, I need to check with HR and I will get back to you, that is a signal that they are not interested in making an offer. So you should move on. I hope that helps. If you have a question, please leave it in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer that question for you. QT says, what are some things you would look for personally when you're thinking of hiring someone? So the 4 things that I'm interested in are the 4 things that every hiring manager is most interested in. Who is this person? And I'll be honest with you and tell you, your name matters because it tells us, about you. Your email address matters, right? Sexy Bubba xx@yahoo.com tells us how you think. Okay. And when we look at your resume, and I'm looking at Sexy Bubba's resume, that matters. So I want to know who you are. I want to know what you are an expert at. This is what I'm personally looking for. This is all business. It ain't got nothing to do with personal. I want to know, what are you an expert at? Right? Because I know what we need to get done, but I don't know what you can do yet. So I'm looking for your expertise. Okay. Then I want to know, where did you do this work at that you've done? And I want to know, how does it compare to our company? And then when did you do it? Right? Did you do it for 2 years, 10 years, 20 years? Doesn't matter, right? That's what I personally look for whenever I interview a candidate. If I'm interested in that candidate, we will typically text that candidate and let them know that we're interested. We will then email that candidate, try to set up a phone screen. That phone screen is usually 15 to 30 minutes. And I'm just verifying the information on their resume is exactly what I thought when I looked at it. And then give them the process for how the next step works for an interview. That's what I look for. I hope that answers your question. If you have a question, leave it in the comment section. Genuinely says, what if they say they have to check with the account manager? Well, why are they checking with the account manager? Are they the hiring manager? If they're the hiring manager and they have to check with the accountant manager or the account manager, mean, I'm trying to make sure I understand your question. What are they checking with the accountant manager for? In terms of pay? Is that what you're asking me? Trouble says better to have a job and look for a job than no job and looking for a job. Yeah, it's better to have that. I agree with you that if you need to work, you got to make sure you get something done until you can get something that that works for you. But it's better to have the best job than to have a job that causes you to have to look for another job. So I agree with you. We just think about it teeny different. Okay, teeny bit different. All right. Another question from Instagram. How do you answer why you left a job if it was due to caring for a child's needs? Okay. So let me be very clear about something. Just like with pay gaps, companies really don't care about why you left the job. They really, I mean, they care, but they really don't care. Why you left gives them some sort of indication about if you will leave them or not. That's what they're really thinking about. So why are they asking you why you left your last job? Because they're trying to gauge whether or not you're the type of person who's going to stick around because they really need somebody to be there for at least 2 years. That creates cohesiveness on a team. You don't want to bring somebody in that they believe won't be there 3 months from now, or 6 months from now, or a year from now. Okay. So if you had to leave your job to care for your family, that is a legitimate reason to leave your job. The demands of your job were too much that did not allow you to care for your children. So when asked that question, you just position it and say, listen, I was working on a job. My kids' demands required so much of my time, and they were sick with or whatever the issue is. Those demands would not allow me to be at work 100% of the time. So instead of being a person who was a liability at the company, I kindly asked, put in a 2 week notice, and let them know that I would not be able to continue my employment with them because I could not be a 100% contributor to the team because I got to take care of my child. Okay, that's a legit reason. Now, if you said that to me in a pre-screen, I would let the hiring manager know exactly why that is the case so that it is not an issue. So they don't really care about that, right? What they do care about is you left 10 jobs in the last 3 months. If you quit every single one of them for whatever reason, that's an issue. It's a pattern that they don't want to repeat with them. And the reason why they don't want it to repeat is because they have to train you. It takes time and resources to do that. And they don't want to have to do that too often. Okay. So I hope that answers your question. All right, if you have a question, leave it in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer that question for you. Same thing here. Another question from Instagram. How do you answer the question, why do you want to leave your current job? So I advise answering this question in a very straightforward way, right? Why you want to leave your job. And that answer will be because my goals and values no longer align with the company I am leaving. They align more with this company. I no longer see myself being aligned with that company in terms of my goals and values. My goals and values are more aligned with this company. And that's how I would advise that you answer that question. Okay. Another question from Instagram. Okay. And that question, if they ask you, what problem is that? Okay. So this is from a question when a person says, why should we hire you? Because I have the skill, experience, and to solve the problem that you have for this company. And so I get this question a lot. What if they ask you what the problem is? Okay. So here's the deal. Everybody, I want you to hear me now. If you don't know what problem your job solves, you got a problem. Okay. Every job solves some kind of problem for a company. Now, I thought about this because I've gotten this question so much. It tells me people don't know the problem that they solve for a company. Well, if you look at your job description, it will tell you the problem they want you to solve. The, the problem that you solve for a company is right on your job description, right? They're telling you what they want people to do in this particular job. Find, screen, evaluate candidates, do whatever, answer phone calls, customer service calls, whatever. That's essentially your problem. Your job is to solve the problem of the company, and your problem is clearly indicated on your job description. So if you don't know the problem you solve, you may not have gotten the job description. And the way you get that is to ask HR to give you your job description so you can understand the problem that you solve. If you are applying for a job, there's a job description. Use that job description to show expertise in this response. I know the problem you want me to solve. It's on the job description, and I can solve that problem with my eyes closed and my hands behind my back. So the reason why you should hire me is because I have the skill and experience to solve the problem that you have on your team. That's how you answer it. AWU says, fix this. All right. AWU says, if you're asked a technical question which you do not know the answer to, is it safe to say, I don't know? Yes, I advise answering it this way. Thank you so much for asking me that question. I don't know the answer to that question, but would you be okay if I found out the answer and got back to you? That's it. No candidate that I have ever interviewed, for the most part, have every single skill, experience, education, and background necessary for a job. So it is not uncommon for a person to be a 99.9% match or a 90% match and still get the job. You do not have to have 100% of the technical expertise in order to get a job. An example for me would, I have worked in many different applicant tracking systems, built and designed many, but there are some I have not. So if a company says, have you ever worked in this applicant tracking system? My answer will be no. But all applicant tracking systems that are Windows based are the same for the most part, just different bells and whistles, different places you need to click. It'll take me 30 days to learn it, and then I'm off to the races. Okay. So not one person has all of the technical expertise. So don't let that up for you all. If you have a question, leave it in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer that question for you. We'll take a couple more questions before this live ends. Trouble says, is ageism a thing? And if so, what age do jobs start looking at ages? Ageism is not a thing. Shouldn't be a thing. Let me say that. It shouldn't be a thing. Okay. Let me explain to you why people are afraid of more mature or older candidates. Let me tell you why. Okay. So this is the reason why. I think this will help you. Again, let me make sure I'm squared away here. Okay, good. Is ageism a thing? And if so, what age do jobs start? So ageism is not a thing. So here's the thing. The reason why people are afraid to hire older candidates sometimes is because of that candidate's experience. Okay. And their fear is, hiring managers are afraid that if I hire this person who is mature and experienced for this job, if something else comes along that pays more, that is closer to their home, that is better for them, they're going to take that position. That's their fear. If they had a crystal ball and knew beyond the shadow of a doubt that you would not leave the company for those reasons, they would hire you. Why would they hire you? Because companies care about having candidates who are a plug and play solution. They would much rather have someone who requires minimum training to do maximum output than it would to hire somebody who's young that takes a lot of training and no proven output. That's the reason why they would hire you if they had a crystal ball. So what's the solution? As a candidate, in my case, who is in their upper 50s, my job is to communicate to the hiring manager my commitment and loyalty and desire to be here to help this company get to the next level for the next 10 or 20 years. until I no longer I'm able to work, whatever that looks like, right? So that's essentially what we have to make sure we're doing. And the issue with candidates that are my age is we have not been able to effectively communicate our desire to do whatever it takes to be part of this team for the long haul. Okay, I hope that answers your question. QT Kayla says, what are some must, if any, and don'ts? Okay. Kayla, I don't understand your question. Okay. Ask the question again because I don't understand. I want to make sure I answer it. Okay. AW says, why would a hiring manager ask if you have a loan? I don't know the answer to that question. I don't even know why they would want to ask that question. Because it's very easy if your financial history mattered because of your job, they can just do a credit check. I wouldn't answer that question in an interview. And I would never advise a hiring manager to ask it unless it was mission critical. Randy says, seems that ageism occurs due to the perceived health liability. Also, thanks for taking my question live. Okay, so Grandis, I'm going to say something. I don't mean to be. I don't mean to be mean in my statement here. Okay, but I'm going to make a comparison. I'm fit and can probably outlift or outrun and outwork people who are 60% younger than me. I mean, I can outlift my sons who are in their 20s. In terms, my sons are in their 20s and 30s. I can outbench them, right? Because I work out. Maybe not one of them, but so. And I've never been in the hospital. I've never been sick. I've never taken off time for work injury. Never, ever have ever in the entire time that I've been working. So the only reason why health issues would become a question, and I'm just trying to be funny in this response right now, is if you walk in there with a cane and an oxygen bag. Okay, that's the reason why it will be an issue. I've never had a health claim, and I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but that's why they have health insurance. Okay, we have to communicate to them, by our words, by what they see, that's not the kind of person we are. Okay. Um, QT Taylor says, what are some things you should include or not include on your resume? Again, there are four things that your resume must clearly show on the first page: who you are, what you're an expert at, where you were an expert, and how long did you do it. Okay. It all has to be quantifiable. And that resume template that I have in my store shows you exactly how to do that. Okay. So that's the answer to that question. If your resume doesn't look like that, I promise you, nine times out of 10, when you apply for a job, you're going to get rejected. All right. How do I prepare for an interview on meal maintenance planner? I want most likely questions to prepare. Okay. So K KHAZ, I am going to advise that you send me a DM so we can set up a one-on-one. Okay. I will tell you, one-on-ones are 30 minutes and they cost $60. But I will tell you, once you and I get a call, I will tell you every potential question that they're going to ask you for this job and why, and how to answer every single one of those questions and why you should answer those. So I can't answer all of the questions here on this live, but if you and I do a one-on-one, I do these one-on-ones every single day, preparing people for an interview, and I tell them exactly what the hiring manager is going to ask him and what they're looking for. Okay. And 99% of the time, those are the questions that they get, and the answers that they give are spot on. Okay. So I click the link in my bio, grab yourself a one-on-one, purchase the one-on-one time, and we can schedule a time to do that. I do that every single day, 6 days a week. Okay. Because I know what they're going to ask you. Okay. AT says, thank you so much for answering everything today. I really appreciate it. We'll definitely be sending you a DM and my resume to see what you think. You're welcome. Listen, if you need any support, so a couple things. If I've said anything today that has helped you open your mind, anything, I'm going to request your support. Click the link in my bio. You can give $10. $10, most people can afford. Just click it and give $10. I would appreciate that. If you need help with anything, there are guides in my store. The fastest way to find a job, what you should know before you go to an interview, the best way to negotiate pay. And I also want you guys to see the one that tells you how to. They're never going to lowball you again. There, how to overcome your fear of job interviews. Keys to getting a pay raise and a promotion in the workplace. If you're working right now, and you want to get a promotion in the workplace, I'll tell you exactly what to do that. In there, if you need me to do your resume, there's a resume rework service, and you can also click the link in my bio and get the resume template or click a one-on-one. I'm just here to help you guys. I want to make sure that you're getting the information that you need. Thank you to the many thousands of followers who are following me and new followers that are following me on a daily basis. I am here to help you. If you have a question, you can DM me, email me, or text me. I'll be happy to answer those questions. Until we see each other again next time, I say the same thing every time. I'm going to spend the rest of my life helping you get to the next level in yours. Take care. I'll talk to you guys soon.